こんにちは。RNG vs PSG 2日目のラストゲーム。中国対台湾。RNG は昨日トルコのチームをボコしたかな。まずいですね。まずいね、マジで。これ今だよね。これ何がまずいかって、昨日の RNG の試合の後にちょっと荒れたんだよね。韓国のコミュニティですごい炎上してるんだけど、今中国のチームは来てないんですよ、会場に。で、会場は韓国にあって、コロナの問題とかいろいろあって、オフラインから唯一参加すると、中国は。で、中国はオフラインじゃないか、オンラインか。オンラインだから、ピングが高いと、中国だけ。なので、中国に合わせるために、フェアな状況にするために、みんなフェアにするために、みんな35のピングで固定。OK？ じゃあ中国に合わせてると。ただ中国はライオットの規定通りに動いてないんですよね。今、チラチラ映ってるけど、まずヘッドフォン、ライオットから支給されたヘッドフォンを使わないと、まず出られないっていうのはルールブックにも書いてあるみたいだし、カメラもウェブカムもないし、なんならコーチも、後ろに審判がいなきゃいけないわけよ。ポーズ中とかさ、喋ったりするわけじゃん。いねえじゃん。これクソほど韓国で炎上してんだけど、これ治ってないんだ。ほら、ヘッドフォンつけてないやつ多いじゃん。いやこれ治るかなと思ったけどね。これは中国に合わせてみんなさ、クソみたいなピングでやってて、しかも35ピングじゃなくて不安定で70とか80とかさ、体感あるとか言ってさ、フェイカーもちょっと文句言ってたけど、みんな中国のためになんかピング合わせてやってんのに、なんだこれ。自分たちのゲーミングハウスで一番やりやすい環境で、しかもヘッドフォンもつけずに、なんだこれっていう話だね。ピックを見るとアーリ、ベックス、ビエゴ。アーリにはやっぱベックスが安定なんかね。エズリアル、昨日使ってたね。ボリベア。なんかもう奥の方でさ、完全に違うヘッドホンつけてるもんな。手前はロジクールの KDA のやつで、奥のやつなんかあれ何のブランドだよ。ルールブックに書いてあるはずなんだけどな。でもライオット側のミスだからしょうがないのかな。MSI の背景着てんのにヘッドセット着てないのよくわかんないね。ヘッドセットから結構ノイキャンとかワイトノイズとかひどいわけで、つけ心地は悪くないんだろうけど、そういうのもあるわけだからさ、会場でやってる人たちとか観客の声とか拾っちゃいけないから。自分たちのいつも練習してる練習部屋から快適にヘッドフォンもつけずにやってるのがすごい言われてましたね。英語配信も荒れてる。去年のね、ベトナムのチームなんか参加もできなかったからね、世界大会行けなくて。ベトナムはオンライン許されなかったのにっていうね、不公平さもあるけど、まあしゃあないっすね。いや本当に届いてないんだろうな。でもあったらつけるだろうし、あんだけ炎上したら。審判はいるのかっていう問題もあるけどね、結局。フェアじゃないとは言われてるよね。Hello、こんにちは。RNG vs PSG。おっと、この構成はなんだ。 RNG はまたエズリアルとアーリか。ザヤラカン。RNG は中盤強い構成かな。PSG は レート気味ですかね。ザヤはまだ暁のその脅威ビルド行くのかね。レートゲーム強そうなのは PSG ではあるけど、序中版の RNG かな。
to go. Both junglers will be starting on the top side of the map and pathing down towards it. And I wouldn't mind to see maybe a little bit, specifically from Wei, as you mentioned, just a little bit of a maybe crazy pathing or something a little bit more different to kind of, you know, catch people off and go for it. But again, RNG yesterday were inflammable. They were just so clean and they didn't need to over aggress. It looked
今日もまたウェブカムがねえよ中国。
honestly, I think that another performance like that is going to be needed if they
写真なんだけど。
continue that momentum.
And on the flip side for PSG Talon, they really struggled against Red and these early rotations that we saw with Cheetan moving up to mid to work with Grevtar, getting picks onto Bay. It felt like Juhan couldn't really get that early control that he needed and get the ball rolling. And unfortunately, this has kind of been something that we've seen a little bit from PSG Talon back home is kind of the communication between the Koreans hasn't been the best with the rest of the team. They've even talked about in interviews. And now you're going to add in Asi to that as well. Like, this is actually going to be a bit tough for PSG Talon, especially when you look at the tenure that Hanabi has had. Like, one of the best, if not the best top laner in the PCS, now removed from the squad as well.
I can tell you now, PSG's pot lane's been removed from this lane. They are not allowed to go in. That was just heat-seeking mystic shots coming out from God. And we saw this in game 1 as well. In their
ミッドのマッチアップは今日フェイカーがね、ベックスに対して主導権握ってウェーブ押し込んでロームしてみたいな動きはしてたけどね。カウンターベックスが後出しで選ばれてるから、まあ、悪くないマッチアップだとは思うんだけどな。アーリが動くかベックスが動くかの違いですかね。ジャングルはボリビアの方が強いと思うよ。ブラウンも小数戦強いぞ。特に序盤 CC はパッシブでな。キル取ったのは RNG。 わー、いや中国の得意のこの序盤の小数戦紙一重だったけどね。
Remember the T1 A's1 we had earlier? Yeah. So I'm thinking that, but with RNG this time.
本当だ、ブラームがヘールブレードだ。すぐにパッシブ発動できるやつ。いや、うまいね。やばそうに見えたけどね、RNG。
for Wei. I was about to go. Everyone said he overextends that little bit. Well, you know, things happen. But honestly, having the support here for Xiaohu to come across, you got Galu comes in as well just in time to make sure he can follow up on the play here as well. Ming just about getting out. You don't even have to burn the heal on Gala, just respecting that play the whole time.
Yeah, that's a tough one to kind of swallow right there because it just comes from very basic lane priorities. You had the push in mid, you had the push bot. You could see in that replay in the minimap.
かなりゲームが
Unify couldn't join because how is he going to lose so much? And there's no vision here now as they try to maybe jump on the Xiaohu. Xiaohu does have
RNG 有利になっちゃったね。あれフラッシュ持ってんだよな。警戒してますね。
As you say, you know, you're looking at Gala Ming already having the control of her bot side. Wei doing really well here. Xiaohu having 2 kills as well means he's got that early Ionian boots of lucidity in the Dark Seal. Like, Bei is going to struggle in this lane now. And when mid is under this much control, one of the big things we talk about with Xiaohu is actually something we talked about earlier on with Faker, where you look at how Xiaohu and Ox pointed on the desk starts to move around the map, keeping RNG in check, finding these plays to set up as the mastermind for RNG. It becomes so much easier with this lead.
Yeah, with this lead and with these double buffs, you will eventually lose them, but the harassment is there. And you think of RNG, a lot of people tend to think towards Uzi. Cannot blame the man is a god amongst AD carries. However, RNG have 5 titles. Xiaohu has 5 titles. This man has been there. He's the glue. He's the whole reason that no matter who they bring in, it seems to just work. He runs around the map, works around the map so damn well.
ブラーム盾を反対にして羽を止めるのか E を止めるのか。
so successful in MSI2021, right? Like him playing top side, playing off things like the Lucian. It was his understanding of how to play side lanes that made
ミ
RNG
ッドも主導権握ってボトムもプッシュできるしね。ドラゴン取り放題じゃない？先に動いてヘラルドも取れるし。PSG はどう立ち回るかね。
Not really getting off the ground very, very quickly, but certainly like looking towards these neutral objectives, trying to find these moments where you can just win out hard at these team fights.
Absolutely, and for PSG, Talon as an organization, you know, it was not. Oh, I stopped myself as Gala goes a little bit aggressive as Arcane Shift has to burn his own flash. A little bit of a mistake there in the
Ignite.
but yes, for PSG Talon, they had to go through.
エズレアルフラッシュアウト。
They were actually knocked out of the top side of it and had to earn themselves back into it. So, and then we think about obviously from last year, they had a.
お互い ADC がヒール取るの珍しいね。
Now, despite there being still a couple of names we recognize.
And one of the big reasons people were talking about that for PSG Talon was, oh, hang on.
おお、ちょっと前出過ぎたか？
Ming is feeling himself right.
ブラムアタックスピード速え、ヘールブレードで。 フラッシュとゴースト交換。フラッシュの方がクールダウン長いからね。これはグエンがうまくやりました。
To this man long enough to know exactly how his
I can almost hear his voice now saying like, what are you doing?
The giggle,
with a big giggle coming out. But he doesn't quite die. But again, this is the kind of reason why we have a lot of question marks over Bin sometimes. He just doesn't really respect his 1v1 at the best.
And it feels like, honestly, if you're kind of looking at someone that can also be a big carry alongside Unified in these fights, it is going to be this Gwen. Oh, actually, Unified.
No flash on Gala.
エズリアルはウルトのクールダウンが短くなってバフされたね。トップのファーム差すごいな。かなりプレッシャーしてるのかな。RNG ドラゴン取ってヘラルドも狙う。4対4。わお。これアーリー持ってきないの？マジか。フィアがなかったのか。ベックス。おっと RNG もちょっと無理してるぞ。おお PSG も返していく。RNG 引こうと思えば引けたけどね。どんどん入っていくね。
blow someone up, you've got a pretty reasonable chance here as PSG with the amount of damage that this Vex can do.
And this is again just what you want as a PSG fan. You want to be able to get those very scrappy, all over the place fights where you're getting those resets off, you're getting the Gwen to get up to those, you know, the stacked up Qs, and this is where it's going to become a bit of an issue for the side of RNG. You cannot disrespect your opponents. You have to be clinical.
And again, as I said, like, you didn't actually have Gala there. Gala had reset, but had decided to go bot side because RNG, in theory, were calling off the play. You had the Rift Herald, you'd already gotten what you came for, but they tried to...
それでもトータルゴールド差2000もあるのか。でかいね。ファーム差が、やっぱ CS 差がすごいわ。キル差はほとんどないけど。CS 差とタワープレート差か。しかもヘラルドここでどこにぶつける？ヘラルドまで終わってるからね。かなりの差が出てるね。
Yeah, I mean, look, Xiaohu does a good job of getting out of this, right? And one of the big things about with the rework on Ari is when you start to get these kills, that health bar comes back pretty damn quickly. But again, it's like
アリはそこで殺せたらよかったんだけどね、殺せなかったね。
no reason to try and chase this, and they don't realize Unified is here, so everyone in RNG flashes galore, but they end up just putting themselves in a great spot for Unified here to try and follow up.
Oh, Bin and Wei trying to make this one work. TT gonna be coming in, and it's
そう、PSG のトップレーナー花火じゃなくなってるね。
taken out. This is
今年まだ1回も使われてないみたいだけど、トップ変わったな。
This is why we've
何
had
かあった
some
のか。
issues with
We're
with the way
always,
in the
we're never
LPL.
as super confident as
Yeah.
everyone else. We're always very realistic with ourselves. But again, it's just RNG.
ヘラルド召喚できず。
Wasn't really there and very unnecessary.
But you can even see, right, Bin nowhere near turning into Meganar. He doesn't really want to be in underneath the tower. Wei doesn't even ult the tower, so that's still online and just super messy from RNG. And now, I mean, you look at the gold lead, it's still kind of 2,000 gold for PSG Talon, but it's keeping themselves, you know, from falling further and further behind.
Got bot lane now picking up. Bin is trying to go a bit forward now, trying to slow down as high as he tries to get a bit more damage. Don't think he's going to be able to do much else than just poke him down, but with a red buff here for the Gwen, makes it a little bit easier to sustain that battle up. So they're going to drop Rift Herald in mid, get that priority.
ヘラルドミッドで召喚。
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about already, right? Like trying to open up the map for Xiaohu so he can actually get some roams going on the Sari, but also looking towards that second dragon for RNG. At least when you look like domestically, that's where RNG have been at their strongest, is these neutral objectives, and they've had absolutely insane control over pretty much.
RNG 全連押し勝ってるからね、視界も取れるし、先にドラゴン寄ったり、
Rift Herald for themselves. I mean, you look at their Drake control back home.
ゲーム展開がうまいですね。
30-60% of those dragons.
5点に回んなきゃいけないね、PSG は。
Despite all the shenanigans that RNG have decided to go with in this particular game, they are still winning in terms of the gold lead. 3,000, 2 dragons in their pocket as well. And they've got one more Rift Hell charge to take down that mid turret as they start to roam themselves down. And Ming finds themselves a treasure trove of wards and keeps everything in check in this bot side. Gala is finding himself a pretty
なんか止まった俺。
actually CS lead, about 20 or so. As he comes
や
up
べ、
into
YouTube 止まっちゃった。
the 13-minute mark, and this is where the game starts to get a little bit more funky because we start to see those first MasterCard mythics. We start to see
Breaker and just take over in that side lane.
Wei thought he could maybe
エズリアルがムラマナできるタイミングでポークしてきて、PSG はそこ耐えられるかだよね。レートゲーム行けばグエンも強いんだろうけど、いやトップのファームさすっごいね。ソロ級かな、14分 68CS。 連戦できてねえじゃん。グエン OP キャラに見えたけど、そうでもないのかね。ファーム食えたら強いけどな。もうエズリアルがグループしてるから人数差があるよ。ザヤいないよ。ザヤなしで戦うか。うまく一人殺した。一時交換。テレポート、グエンいける。エズリアルが強すぎる。畳みかけていく。 PSG ボトムは取れるけどトップ失ってミッドも失ってタワーがバッキバキだ。トップタワーもあとちょっとでセカンド取れるんじゃない。トータルゴールで一気に5000、さっきまで3000とかだったんだけど、いやー展開が早いね。
5,000 gold lead as we come back and see the replay here. And again, it's very scrappy, it's very all over the place. Bay is already half health when this one starts, so it's already in a pretty dire strait, shall we say, for the side of PSG mid laner.
Yeah, Xiaohu just able to get the final kill, flashing away from Kaiwing so he doesn't get charged. And And you can see here, PSG Talon are like, hey, if they overextend, we can make the play, we can go, but so much poke damage comes in so quickly that they're just not able to follow up on it. Now, RNG sitting with that 4,500 gold lead, Dragon in a minute's time, and with the control they have over pushing pushing mid, into leaning into bot side vision, you can set up pretty easily here to make sure you can get that. They just need to make sure they're grouping up with, you know, the 4-man unit from way down to make sure that you're not getting caught out by PSG as you try and set up that vision in the bot side.
And the big thing as well, you're looking at maybe potential item spikes, potential moments for PSG to come back into this. The big one we always talk about with the Xayah specifically is the Eclipse into Murmana. That's not really quite there yet, and you're looking at a Triforce Murmana.
20分前に村マナ出てくるな、エズリアル。
I expected to kind of see the
耐えられるか？
through again. Like lethality Xayah has just been nerfed absolutely completely. The reason that it has been is the 6 seconds, the 4-second cooldown on the Q into the 6 seconds means that you can't really play around the poke that she was able to, and especially even just getting the number of feathers down that you need to, plus the nerf to the actual feather damage as well. Like she's just been so hurt.
Just has not been able to rectify or recreate the days of old, the reminiscing days.
ドラゴン7秒。
Spring 2022.
エズリアルがポークでザヤの HP 半分削ってる。ドラゴン3つ目は止めなきゃいけないけどね。待ち伏せがあるんだよね。ウェイすごいところにウルトで逃げたな。いやーゲーム展開がうめえわ。RNG。
Talking about, right? You can see RNG where the engage comes through from PSG. They kind of scatter across the board. Xiao who backs away, Wei ults over the wall. They split up from the initial burst damage from PSG, and then they can start to readjust themselves in the fight with Bing coming through. Now you're on third Dragon. You've already got really good control. We're only 18 minutes into the game. They just get to now set up their vision control nicely for Baron and just wait 5 minutes for this Hextech Soul to come through.
Yeah, it is. Again, pure domination coming out from RNG. Not as clean as yesterday, but damn well still as good as they are just catapulting, pushing themselves so far forward. And again, they just know they have full vision control, so they can set up a pick whenever they want.
Yeah, and they do get a really nice.
綺麗に決まるね、ほんと。
They start to play the rest. It's right. You get a ton of PSG trying to jump on top of them. Wei hops over the wall. Xiao who backs out, and they're just waiting for these big ultimates to be cleared out. And unfortunately, as the Gwen goes over the wall, Bean has managed to arrive with the Nara, and now Kaiwing.
Not caught out just yet. Bay does come over and help him out. They get the Spirit Rush out of Xiaohu as well. Luckily for Kaiwing, he didn't have a flash to burn. It's coming up very soon. But yeah, this is starting to get a bit rough. And for RNG, they're just kind of playing with their food. They know where they need to be. They know they can out-muscle the side of PSG whenever they really want to. And Wei now just trying to see if he can just take away as many buffs as possible from Juhan.
And again, I mean, we're just kind of seeing what Gala and Ming can do when they get their hands on this Ezreal.
エズリアル村マナコンプリート。
Level 1, level 2 plays we saw with
育ってますね。
to get this bleed, and since then RNG a little bit messy, but
今ナーがいないからね、入りたいよね。ナーテレポートがないから入りたいんだけど入れない。ノップ。ナーが今ボトムいるからなんか捕まえてね5対4したいんだけどダメですね。ベックスのウルトから入っていくのがベストだとは思うんだけど。
to get in towards the back line with the flash burn by Gala, but we'll have to see because that is still no easy task.
It is not, and we're going to see now Wei just kind of pushing PSG away. You do have a Gwen though, and Xayah, they will be able to clear out these minions pretty damn effectively. They're just going to wait for the next wave. They've got 3 minutes to the next dragon spawns. Honestly, they got nothing else to do.
Yeah, I mean, they just get to chill here, push this in. Bin's TP will be back up in time for the dragon, so he can always go up after they get this tower reset, move into this top side, keep pressure on towards the tier 2, and you don't really feel the pressure as RNG to quickly start this, right? Because you have complete control of the map.
Here we go, Shadow Surge lands on the Gala, he gets feared.
ちょっとガラが前出過ぎたぞ。エズリアルやられた。どうなる？メガナやっば。しかし ADC がいない。Wow.
demolish the main source of damage.
ドラゴンはないのか。
And just like that, PSG, they
エース取ってもまだ6000ゴールド差か。
fight and get the ace, but they need
まだまだだ
They
ね。
need that probably about 3 more times. We can have a look at this fight right now because it all starts with Gala just walking too far forward. Yeah.
エズリアルがマイブリンクしちゃったんか。
lands it as soon as his feet hit ground and destroys the Ezreal. And from this point forward, right, Shenhu's doing his best, but you just
なぜ人はマイブリンクして死ぬのか。
we talked about how much work this
なんで
get done when she's immune.
キリブリンクをしてしまうのか。
You get this great ultimate from Bin. Shenhu just can't follow up because of Asi's positioning, and they're able to take the fight.
And again, RNG, they disrespected their opponent. I think Gala got
チータンはな、ジンを使って抑えてるのに。
causing such a big slip up there, and despite Bin getting that 3-man ultimate,
エズリアルが軽く出せてなかったね。
they could have turned it back around, but again, like you said, the
簡単に。
resets from the
まあでもそれでも6000ゴールド差、いや4000か。4000ならまあ悪くない。
You're still looking though, and a minute until this Dragon Soul.
レートゲームは PSG が強えよ。
RNG pushing in onto this bot side off of Xiaohu's pressure, starting to set up that vision control. We've already saw what RNG could do off of one quick pick with Juhan overextending at the last Dragon. So you've got to find some sort of way here as PSG to contest this vision, but it just becomes so difficult to do with Bin, as we already mentioned, established on this top side and pressuring the tier 2.
You got the pressure in mid, pressure in top. Everywhere has got pressure.
4ドラゴン。次だね。次 PSG が勝てれば逆転だろうな。
All right, all right. Next time.
あ、でも6000か。6000ゴールド差だ
But
った
20
わ。
seconds till this Dragon spawns. We have a quick look. You still
結
don't
構まだ差が残ってるわ。
or Bin for that example, but use
視界コントロールもされてるし。
you don't have great engage. You are relying on a
ベックスのウルト次第かな。
bay to get in on top
エズリアルがフラッシュねえからさっきみたいに捕まえられればかな。
That could be pivotal in this fight, but it's going to be close.
But here's the thing, right? Like, RNG just get to keep you pushed back here. Xiaohu able to poke, Ming able to slow you down, Bin even threatened with the Megadar. And now the
取ってるよも
It's already gone. You've already too late to find it. It's going to be X-Zone. They got the slow and the damage coming
う。
down.
ブラームのウルト完璧すぎる。
Fisher right up the middle of that choke point, and everything's already been used by PSG to try and get away. You don't have any more tools to fight. You have to use them to survive. Double kill going to Xiaohu on this
うめえ。
Ari, and you gotta feel like that's gonna be the final nail in the coffin.
I mean, it's Soul, it's going to be Baron as well as RNG start to move over, and PSG, they tried their damnedest being able to get that one nice fight in bot side, but it just isn't going to be enough. RNG again looking to push themselves to 2-0 at the end of our second day.
I got the Baron, they'll reset. Of course, we'll see a replay of that fight, I'm sure, as well. But this is just going to be a formality at this point for RNG. And again, PSG, at least they showed life. I see some great stuff coming in as well for Ashai. This guy was looking pretty damn good on this Gwen and isn't quite done with it just yet.
I will say, he struggled a small bit in the late phase, you know, just a 60 CS
I was
lead.
going to say nearly 100 CS down, nearly.
But, Dala, I'll be alright. But I just don't know how much RNG are actually going to be able to get out of this Red Bull Baron power play, because you look at how much of the base for PSG remains, there's not exactly a huge amount, and when you think as well about the opportunity to look for poke with Gala underneath these towers, the siege is pretty damn strong, but you'll see here, Ming, that was beautiful, completely catches Unified out, he's stuck on the slow, separates him from the team, and then Xiaohu flashing forward, getting these resets on the Ari ult, and able to chase down so many members of PSG.
This is the RNG we expected. This is the RNG we saw yesterday. Again, it took a little bit of small little scuffs, you know. They're not 100% clean going home to their mom, but they are definitely feeling proud of what they've been able to do today. And again, it's just RNG just being RNG. Yes, their early game kind of sucked, but it didn't matter.
お、
Unless you get caught out like here, but Wade's got himself a stopwatch.
関係なかったか。
Turn it back around. This time though, you got your team, Juhan, to keep you
かなり甘えて入ってきたけどね。捕まえられない。
for something. Honestly, PSG talent, I admire the effort.
Yeah, I mean, look, you see some teams who would just kind of try and turtle, sit back in their base and not do a huge amount, but you got to try and do something in these positions. Maybe you can find some picks, maybe you can slow it down, but already 3,000 gold on the Red Bull Baron power play, the turrets are starting to fall, and you don't even have Juhan up for another 15 seconds.
Yep, and you're getting assaulted in mid and in top. You will lose the inhibitor in top side. You may even lose your Gwen in the mid lane as he goes forward. Xiaohu knows how that W works, and the Gwen is no longer immune. Now Xiaohu wants a little bit more blood. We're going to see them try and just honestly saying, look, you're evicted. Get out of your house. You don't live here anymore.
Yeah, we're on the wrong side of the map. PSG look like they're trying to siege up, but RNG are like, no, you're not allowed in here anymore. And now with the top lane inhibitor going down, mid soon to follow, the base is in shambles for PSG Talon.
Still got Baron buff up for another 50 seconds. You've got minion waves in mid and top. It looks like they're going to just try and reset. Use the gold. They've just
無理しないで戻りますか。
got their eyes and crossed their T's.
I mean, I don't know how much more you really need for RNG, right? Like, Void Staff completed for Xiaohu, the needlessly large fraud in there as well. I mean, you've got 3 items already completed for RNG.
Oh, wait for Ben. Where is he? There he is. Good man. He wasn't late. He wasn't late. You just had, you know, you just sprint for the
we're going
trade.
again.
Here we go. Let's go.
すげえ機動力。
I mean, look, this is the best school day trip I've
Yeah,
ever seen.
honestly. It's just the pure giddiness
戻
you
って
get
くん
when
の
you're
早い。
just excited to see how this stuff you get on the train and stuff like that with all your mates. And yeah, they're just going to be able to use the Hex Rift to get themselves pushed down bot side. And yeah, PSG, you got to go for a final stand at some point.
I mean, I think that might have fallen already, but their base is starting to go. They can't really hold
うお、what the fuck? エズリアルの Q であんなダメージ。
One mystic
6割消えたが WQ か。
into his ultimate. We do see the arcane barrage coming across the side of the team, but now with triple in him, a little bit of minions left for them as well. Gala is feeling confident. Gala is feeling good, and we're going to see the final fight coming out for PSG. Can they delay this fight? As we can see the Shadow Surge all the way out into the backside, but the charm was good as Bay finally takes down Gala. They are trying to get the resets going here, and Juhan's doing some very good work and keeping himself alive. They can't get the Vex out though, and eventually it was a valiant effort. They will end up having to back away, and I don't think they can survive much longer.
No, that is going to be it. RNG at the end of day 2 are going to hit that 2-0.
Oh, we've got to wait for 2 seconds right now because these health bars are a little bit low. Never mind. They're going to have to push in on top of this one now. The flash, the charm, the only person who could have done any possible damage is dead. RNG
強え。
PSG 0 and 2.
いやー、なんだかんだ強えよ。
Yeah, and you can see it there.
炎上してるけど。
The difference between RNG's early game versus RNG's mid game. We saw a little bit of the fumbles coming through, but way overextending that bit too far, trying to go a bit over aggressive. But when we get to the mid game, it's clean, it's clinical,